the saying is really true. You are what you eat, because what you are going to eat, it's going to get digested and absorbed in our body and then metabolized.
A very good evening to you and to everyone who will be listening to this live session. And we have named this session "What Fuels an Olympian." The reason we are talking about Olympians and Olympics is the reason that people are getting to know about athletes, their lifestyle, their everything. What they were before and what are the potentials and what they'll be becoming. So one major aspect of this live session is to make them aware about nutrition. And I think you are one of those experts who can tell us exactly about nutrition. And you have been into this profession since long, and you have also been an awardee for multiple platforms and stages. And I have also read that you are a judge of Malkham. So this was just a small introduction. I would request you to tell more about it, and then we'll start with the questionnaire.
Okay. Thank you, first of all, Sports App, for inviting me for this live session. And I'll tell you a little about nutrition also. Now, I think everyone is aware about nutrition, but 10 years ago, people did not know what is nutrition, and sports nutrition was very rare. Now, since sports is also, developing, and more awareness has been created, there are many people who want to now play competitive sports, and they are really looking into, as a serious career, and not just, part-time thing. So all the allied, fields related to sports. First, we had just coach telling everything to the athlete, whether it is exercise, what to eat and everything. But now we have dedicated experts to tell the athletes, in terms of physiotherapy, sports psychology, nutrition, all these fields have come in, and they have really helped the athletes. So let me tell you about nutrition. When we talk about nutrition, it is a science of nutrients. Now, where do we get these nutrients from? We get these nutrients from the food and water which we consume. Okay. Now, when we talk about our body, what's inside our body? So if you see everything inside our body, whether it's the muscles, the bones, the different organs, tissues, even, the microscopic cells which we have in our body, you will see all these things are made up of the nutrients compounds which we get from food and water. Okay. So it's literally, the saying is really true. You are what you eat, because what you are going to eat, it's going to get digested and absorbed in our body and then metabolized, and either they will form different parts as a part of organs, tissues, or whatever, or they will be used up as the energy for basic functions in the body, as well as the training. So that's how much nutrition is important, especially for an athlete, because over and above the basic functions which they are doing, they also require that much of energy and those extra nutrients for their training, and also recover after their intense training sessions or a competitive event. Because if they are not recovering well, they are not ready for the next session or the next event, and their performance will not be up to the mark. It's it's saying, like, example, I would like to give you a simple example. Now, I know that I have to come on a live session, Insta live session with Sports App. Okay. And I have to see that my phone is charged completely. If my phone is not charged, it is like 10%, battery is 10%, I know my phone will get switched off and my Insta Live will not happen. Similarly, the athletes, they need to, charge their body. They need to see that everything is up to the mark so they can perform at optimal level. Yeah, and their body does not shut down in between, and their performance does not get hampered. So that's what nutrition, proper nutrition and hydration strategy will do to an athlete's performance, and not only performance, their health also, because we have to see overall health of the athlete. We don't want the athlete falling ill, frequently and miss out on competitions or miss out on training days. Okay, so we have to look both of these aspects, performance as well as the health goals.
Okay, so I think nutrition is a big concept, and you have summarized it in a very nice way. Let's divert our conversation towards Olympics and Olympians. So my first question in this regards would be like, we say that play like an Olympian and eat like an Olympian. So what exactly is it like? What is it? How nutrition is different for an Olympian? And since when do they start? Taking care of the nutrition before Olympics, like before the events. So what is the time gap that they put into consideration, and how different is the nutrition?
So I would, twist the question into saying into a statement that you don't eat properly after you become an Olympian. You need to eat, properly and strategically to become an Olympian. Okay. So if you are, are dreaming, or if you want to play into Olympics, you have to start early. And as early as maybe when you're going to start your Olympic training, maybe if you want to compete in the next Olympic, you'll be starting your training from right. So it's either, I would suggest before even starting your training, you look into your nutrition. What is your body required? Are there any deficiencies, nutrient deficiencies? What about the body composition? What about your muscle percentage, your fat, body fat percentage? Whether it is compatible to the sport specific, everything. So you can start that as early as possible. The nutrition has to be parallel to your training. When you talk about athletes training, there is a training periodization happening. There are seasons, there's off season, then there is a pre-season, then there's a competitive season. Yeah. So various seasons will have their training, different training levels. They will have their training phase where they're working on a typical or, particular training aspect of the sport. Okay. Similarly, there is nutrient periodization, wherein the nutrient, maybe the energy required, calories required, or carbohydrate, protein, fat requirements will change accordingly to the training requirements. Okay, so if you say some of the sports, their training is totally different from the competitive event. Example, a gymnast. Okay, if you see the competitive event, they are just competing for like few seconds, or maximum for 2 to 3 minutes. But if you see their training, they'll train for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours at a stretch. Okay, so some of these events, their training is different, their competitive event is different. So the nutrition strategy is also different on a competition or a match day and on training days. Okay, so that is, you need to really work on that aspect also. So if you start your nutrition strategy before 1 month of your competitive event, it is not going to work, because your body also requires time to adapt. There are some physiological adaptations taking place, there are some metabolic adaptations taking place in your body, uh, uh, which is dependent on your training as well as on your nutrition. Okay, so that to happen, it does not happen in 1 month's time. You require at least 3 months, 6 months, a year to happen. Then you have to see whether whatever you're consuming, is it giving benefits to your training, is it giving benefits on your competition. Okay, so that you need to train. So when we always train, you're training your body to do some performance, or to maximize your performance. You also train your body with food and nutrition. So there are no gut stomach discomforts during the competitive events also. So you're training your gut also, and you are making those required adaptations in terms of nutrition, so you have the appropriate body composition, or you have the appropriate performance benefit. Okay, so that is one thing. And what does an Olympian eats, or Olympic athlete eats? So if you see, the base is balanced diet. Okay, all the athletes will require all the nutrients. Okay, so it is not that athlete has to skip one nutrient, or something like that. No, first the base should be a balanced diet with a variety of foods. Next, when we talk about, there's something called as sports specific nutrition. Okay, so different sports will have a specific nutrition strategy, okay, depending on whether they want to change their body composition, whether they being in a particular weight category and they want to maintain their weight, uh, or depending on the sports, whether it's a short duration sport, high intensity sport, or it's a long duration sport, endurance sports, and what type of nutrition hydration strategy they require. So it depends on that. So it's athlete specific and also sport specific when you're talking about nutrition.
Yeah. So I see you talking about the difference in training. They train for longer hours and then they have to work out. The main competition is only for like 5 minutes and 10 minutes. Yeah. So talking about the difference, like what is the difference? I see you talking also about the different type of sports. So what is the major difference between an athlete who will be taking nutrition as a endurance athlete and also as a sprint athlete? So if there's a marathon runner who has to run for 42 kilometers and also is a sprint runner who has to run for 100 meters. So what is the diet difference?
Yes. So when you look in terms of their training is different. Okay. So for nutrition, what they will do is if it's a short duration like sprinting and all, what they focus more on is they have to run faster. So maximum velocity is involved in that particular time. They have to sustain that. Like this 100 meter sprints of very few seconds, 10, 12 seconds. Okay. So they require that quick burst of energy and this speed to compete. Okay, when you're talking about endurance uh, sports like marathon running, they need fuel to sustain the longer duration to run, for the 2 hours, 3 hours. So they require that fuel to sustain, and also they require fluids and electrolytes so they don't get dehydrated and they avoid cramps also during the long runs. So the nutrition strategies will differ in the amount of carbohydrates consumed. So in a short duration activity during the event, not much of focus is given on the nutrition because it's a short duration. But prior, how much amount of carbohydrate, and when you're talking about short duration, high intense activity, also a compound called as phosphocreatine, which is required to give immediate ATP source or immediate, quick burst of energy. So that has to be maintained or optimized in a short duration, high intensity sport. Wherein when you're talking about an endurance, a long duration sport, you have to also see the, before the event, what you're consuming, how much amount of carbohydrates you're consuming, proteins you're consuming. During the event, the nutrition is also of utmost importance because you have to take care of the carbohydrates. It should be fast absorbing, also the fluid requirements, also the electrolytes because you will be sweating. Yeah, it's an outdoor event. You'll be losing a lot of electrolytes, so you need to replenish those electrolytes. So when you are going to, drink that water, or when you are going to consume or ORS solution or a carbohydrate electrolyte solution, after how many minutes, whether, after you're consuming that particular fuel or particular, sports drink or a sports gel, whether, you're comfortable consuming that because some of the athletes will have some stomach discomfort. So you need to train that, do the gut training and sustain. You should not hit the wall. In a marathon running, you should not hit the wall and stop in between and collapse. So that is of utmost importance during the event, what you're consuming and what you're, replenishing and rehydrating with. Also after, after the event or there will be loss of fluids, loss of electrolytes. Also, and when you're talking about longer duration events, you will also lose a lot of glycogen. The glycogen stores will deplete. Those are your carbohydrate stores in your body. Okay, so you need to also restore them. So you need to consume immediately after the event a good carbohydrate, which is fast absorbing, and good protein, which is also fast absorbing to repair and replenish this lost stores. So all these things, are involved when we plan a nutrition strategy for an athlete.
Okay. So next question, I think it's a bit interesting question. And also, I was also very curious about it that, we have a food culture of eating dal, roti, rice. But since the Olympians, they are traveling to Tokyo, and these athletes, they are also having a food culture of eating the same food, but Tokyo has a different food culture. So how do they manage their nutrition? Because like if I go from Delhi to Mumbai, my gut will not be that much good with it. So how do the athletes manage their nutrition, because they are at a very crucial platform to perform? So how do they manage this difference in food culture?
So basically, educating the athletes is very important. Okay, so when they are going to compete somewhere else other than their, training place, educating them on what to carry, some of the foods they need to carry, which will remain, maybe in nuts or milk powder, something like that. When, if the food is not there and they can, they are used to those foods, similar foods are there, so they can carry and immediately eat. There, when you're talking about Olympics, they will have the food court has a lot of options. Okay, there will be various type of cuisines. So try to stick to the similar foods. They should also have an idea on what is gone into that recipe. Okay, so they should not consume something which they don't know and which they have not tried before. Okay, even if they want to try something different recipe or their food culture, it's better to educate before going, that okay, if they want to try something which is Japanese or something else, what are the food recipes, what ingredients will they have, what it is made up of, and have I tried those ingredients here. If the ingredients are similar to what we consume, only the recipe is different and it can be consumed, you can try out. The most important thing in traveling is, first thing, educating the athlete on what they are going to get there, and how they can eat it and when they need to eat it. And second thing, packing their own food stuff also. Some of the foods which they are compatible with, which they are used to, they can carry those food stuff with them. So even if they don't like some foods there, they can have those foods which they have carried.
Okay. So I think my curiosity is over now, and I know that what are they eating in Tokyo. So next question is, like a few days ago, there was a match of Ravi Deya, the final match, and we were seeing that commentators, they were saying that he was very much focused and he went straight to the gym, he weighted his how much he was weighting and exercised. So I was curious about this situation, that they have to manage their weight also, and also they have to eat the nutrition to perform next day. So there's a disbalance in both the things. Like either you eat, if you're eating, you will be gaining weight. Even if you're drinking water, you will be gaining weight. But when you are on the weighing machine and you are not up to the criteria, that you may get disqualified. So how do athletes manage their performance and their weight and nutrition, all these things?
It's a good question. We classify this into weight category sports, where weight management is of utmost importance for these athletes. Now, so how they work is, usually the athletes during their training phase, they usually have higher weight, slightly higher weight when, than the weight they're going to compete at. Okay. And we suggest to have a gradual weight loss when their competition is nearing. What athletes do is they do ulta. Okay, so they want that rapid weight loss just before the competition. Okay, which is very dangerous, because they will end up losing a lot of muscle mass, and dehydration can also happen because most of water weight is also lost. Okay, so plan accordingly, that at least there is 4 to 6 weeks of time to because when you're talking about the body, your body contains muscle mass, your body contains fat mass. Okay, what we want to reduce is the fat mass, not the muscle mass. So if you're losing muscle mass, you also decrease your performance. Okay, because all these weight category sports, mostly they are combat sports, they will require that strength and power. Okay, and if you're reducing your muscle mass, that performance will also go down. So try to start losing weight 4 to 6 weeks prior to the competition event, and minor weight loss, can happen, which is rapid weight loss or acute weight loss can happen prior 1 or 2 days prior the weigh-in. After the weigh-in, there is a protocol to replenish and restore the fluids and the carbohydrates and proteins, which especially the carbohydrates which they have lost. So they can replenish with water and electrolytes, either it's a diluted fruit juice or ORS solution, and they also need to eat carbohydrates because they need to restore that whatever they're lost in that 1 or 2 days. So they can again consume fruits and dried fruits or potatoes or bananas, so that can be incorporated. So it should be after the weigh-in. So that's how the process goes, not rapidly reducing like too many kilos, just 1 or 2 day priors, because you require, to be hydrated, you require that glycogen stores to perform optimally during the bouts also.
Okay. So I think Ravi Dev was very much aware about this, and that's why we have a silver on with us,
Yes.
silver medal with us. Yeah. So last question is also out of curiosity that if I am planning if as an athlete, as a junior athlete, if I'm planning a big event in upcoming year, and like we are very much conceptual about nutrition. We have we take care of every micronutrients and food, everything. But if I strictly rely on Indian food, how much efficient is it? Like मैं सिर्फ दाल रोटी खा रहा हूँ मैं और कुछ नहीं खा रहा हूँ, सब्जियां खा रहा हूँ, है ना? How much efficient is it? Is it in the line of a professional athlete's nutrition?
So when you're talking about Indian diets and Indian food culture, I would say it is really good. It's superior, yeah. Because if you see traditional food combinations, like as simple as dal rice or curd rice, it gives good amount of carbohydrates, also good quality proteins. Okay, so don't think that if I have to become a professional athlete, I have to eat exotic foods and so specific fancy foods, and I have to take like fancy supplements. That no, try to see even our food culture is so diverse. You will see a lot of variety of foods in every food groups. We don't just stick to rice and wheat. We also consume millet, yeah, like bajra and nachni, that is ragi and jawar and all those things, which also have good amount of micronutrients, that is vitamins and minerals. Okay, if you look at the pulses, we consume so many variety of pulses. Yeah, it is not only like moong dal or tool dal. We have so many variety of pulses which we consume, which give proteins, especially to the athletes who are vegetarians. Then the recipes, our recipes are such that most of the recipes you will find the combination is of a cereal and a pulse, or nuts and cereal, something like that, or it's curd and cereal, or milk, which is a good combination of complementary proteins. When I talk about complementary proteins, is they will provide the combination of different foods will provide all the essential acids which are required for the body. So most of the foods are like that. The another interesting thing about our Indian diets is we use a lot of herbs and spices also. Yeah. So the herbs and spices have some compounds, bioactive compounds, which have health benefits. Yeah. And especially for the athletes, like example, curcumin, which is a bioactive compound in turmeric, haldi. Yeah, it is not only antibacterial, but it is also anti-inflammatory. So, and we have turmeric, haldi in almost most of the preparations in our Indian diets. Okay, we also consume it as a part of haldi doodh. Okay, so this is anti-inflammatory, and if an athlete consumes it, The inflammation can be reduced. Inflammatory responses can be reduced after an intense training sessions. Uh, ginger, ginger is said to reduce muscle soreness. So having a ginger juice or incorporating ginger in your diet will also for athletes who have a lot of muscle soreness, they can incorporate that. So Indian diets do have all these unique things, even drumstick, uh, we call it, moringa or drumstick. It has a lot of benefits, and we do have drumstick in sambar or, in curries.
Yeah.
And you can make moringa leaves sabji also. So Indian diet is, I would say, it's superior, and if you're planned properly, it can give a lot of benefits for the athletes.
Okay. So I think I'm done with my curiosity, and these are the questions which I was very much curious about. And I think I see many people that are requesting to come live, and also there are questions and I think they are also curious to know about. And most of the people on our platform are athletes. So I think their question will be dedicated only towards sports and nutrition. And I think uh, you are the expert, and I would request everyone to, if they have any queries, they can DM you, and they can ask related questions. And thank you for being on the platform, ma'am. It was a great pleasure having you. And that's so. I think the matches are going on at 4 and 4:30, and we hope that we have
Yes.
two more medals today.
Yes. Cheer for India. And thank you
Cheer
so
for
much
India.
for inviting me to this session.